Hello, my name is Jurman. I'm here to talk to you guys about Tram-One version 2. I recently released it and it has some really cool features, better state management, nicer routing. So just to get into it, we'll build a to-do app, the Pinnacle web app example. You guys will get to see, starting from scratch-ish, how to build this in Tram-One. So I'm going to use Tram-One Express, which is a generator. I made a video before about it, but basically it gives you all the things that you would want right off the bat for building a Tram-One app. It has some example pages, it has a header element, header custom element, and that's used in this home page here, so we require it, and then we can use it in here. It also has a main.js where we have the home route mapped and the 404 route, and we start on a page. Just to clarify what we'll be building today, it'll look like this. It will be an input tag, and we can create some to-dos, and then later on we'll have a completed section where we'll put all our to-dos that we've finished. If you're not super familiar with Tram-One, don't worry, we'll be going over most of the basics. If you are, keep listening because we'll talk about some of the new stuff that you can do in the new version of Tram-One. So, just to get started, let's move cd into this directory, and then we'll do npm start. Cool. And so here's our home page that we kind of saw before. I just want to make a new to-do element that'll, just a list element that we can hover over, and our cursor looks like a pointer, so it looks like we can click it. So let's quickly make that right now. So I'm actually going to copy the stuff in header. It just says we grab the HTML function, and it can take in this HTML-like string. So elements here take in two things. They take in adders and children. Children is anything you would find on the inside of an element. So in this case, the children of the h1 tag is this to-do one string. Adders is anything you put in the tag props. So like, if this had an on-click, if there's an href for an anchor tag, or a source for an image tag, that's what that would look like. We're only going to care about the children right now. I just want to pass this in, and this will be a list item tag. And I think that about does it. Oh yeah, we wanted to add the style, so to do style, and we'll just give this cursor pointer, and then just add it here. There are lots of ways you can add CSS to your elements in Tram-One. This is my preferred way. Cool. So now let's add that in our registry here. So up on the top, we can include any elements we want. It's a mapping of the element name that we'll use down here to the function. So if you wanted to do like capitalize like React does, you can do that as well. I like doing lowercase. So let's just add a to-do here and see what that looks like. So new to-do. Cool. And we can see here, my cursor changed when I hover over it. Awesome. We don't need this anymore, so we'll move that. Cool. So now we want, when we click on this, well, we also need an input tag. So create that as a placeholder. So we want to be able to type in here and add to-dos, and we also want to be able to click on them to remove them. So in order to do that, we need to create some actions. So this is the new thing in the version 2 of Tram-One. We'll create a to-do actions.js, and so actions here are a object. They're an object with the actions that you can perform on that state, right? So the first thing you always need is init, and so that is a function that takes in nothing and returns the default state. So we could have like a default to do in here, it could be an empty list, whatever you want. Next, we need an add to do function. So that'll take in our current list of to-dos and a new to-do to add. And that'll just return the new state, so whatever to-dos we have plus our new to-do. So yeah, these functions should always take in, they can take in three things. They take in the current state, some argument that was passed into the action, and they can take in actions. If you want to trigger something after the fact in a deferred way, you know, async actions, or if just something triggers another action. So in this case, we just need these two, and it should always return what the new state should look like. So in this case, we want to return a new list of to-dos. So now that we have that, we'll want to actually add that to our app. So you just do app.addActions. And this also takes in an object, but this object will be a mapping of what the value is of in the store. So in this case, we'll call it to-dos. So we'll just do store.todos to get at it, and the actions that it's associated with. So we'll just pull that in here. So actions, to-do actions. Cool. So on our home page now, so our view can take in three things now. It can take in the store, so that'll be what has the to-dos and later the completed to-dos. It takes in actions, so that'll be, you know, anything like actions.init, actions.add to do, whatever. The init's called by default, but you could call it if you want to reset the values. And finally, we can take in params. We won't be using those here, but it is a argument that we can add. Those will be like query strings in the URL, or if the path includes a variable, stuff like that. So we want to be able to add to-dos. So I'm going to make a function called add to-do, and it'll take in an event. This will be on the input tag, so whenever we see, you know, event.keycode13, so that'll be if they hit the enter key, then all we want to do is call the add to do, and it'll have event.target.value. Sweet. Also, we need to render all our new to-dos, so we want to turn the to-dos, which is just a list of strings, into some DOM elements. So we'll call it to-do DOM. And all will be is store.todos. So that'll be whatever we're storing in our actions, right? We'll map over those and turn each to-do into some HTML, specifically our to-do tag. Sweet. So we can just include that here, and we should immediately see our default to do. Cool. So that was from the init function that was called here. It starts off with the default to do. And next, we want to be able to add these to dos. So we'll just do on key up. Just call that function. So my new to do. Cool. And it added it. Sweet. So now we want to have some completed to-dos. In our to-do actions, let's add another function, complete to-do. And that'll take in our to-dos, and it'll take in the completed to-do. And we just want to return the list of to-dos, excluding that completed to-do. So I'm just going to do a filter. It'll go over each to-do, and if that to-do looks like the completed to-do, then it'll return false. otherwise it'll keep it. So now we just need a function complete to do that calls that action. It'll be an event. All we want to do is grab the text from our element, so I'll just call that to do text, and that's event.target.text content, and then we want to call actions.complete to do with the to do text. We need that to happen whenever we click on our to-do. In our to-do element, we need to also add on click to do whatever we passed in for adders on click. So now, if I click on my default to-do, it disappears. But we also wanted a whole section for the completed to-dos. So let's add that now. Just go into our home. We can remove this placeholder one. I just want H3, this is completed. We'll have an HR tag in here as well. Cool. And then we want another element, we'll call it a done. I'm just going to copy what I have in our to-do.js, paste it over here, except instead of the cursor style changing, what we want to do is we want to have a strike through them. So that's a text decoration, line through, and don't need that. We'll rename this to done style. Cool. So it looks somewhat similar. It'll have the strike through in it, but it also has the children inside. So let's just make sure that works. We'll add this tag, the elements, done. And let's just make sure we can create one. This is done. Cool. And it's got the strike through and everything. So what I actually am going to do is, there's two ways we could go about this. We could make to-do actions be an object where it stores all the completed ones and the not completed ones, but I'm actually going to make a whole done actions file. It'll be similar to our to-do actions. It's an object, and it'll start off empty. And what happens is when somebody calls complete to do, we're going to have our current completed ones, we'll call dones, and the completed to do. And what I want is to just concat that completed to do. So what will happen is when somebody calls actions.complete to do, it'll call this one and this one. So to do actions will update its list of to dos, and done actions will update its list of dones. So on our home page, we'll have to do the same thing that we did before to the to do DOM. We'll just call this the done DOM. List of dones, and we map those to some done tags. And of course that's not going to work because we need to actually add the store.dones. So if we go in here, just do app.add-actions, and on the dones we'll have the done actions. Cool, now that works. So if we click on this default to do, it should call the complete to do action, and it'll remove it from our current to dos and add it to our completed to dos. We had a bug here. This is a mapping of done to done. There we go. So now, if I click this should work, hopefully. Cool. Except it disappeared because we need to actually display these dones. So, all this done. Cool. So now if I click this, cool, it's added to the complete. So we can new to do, complete it, another to do, and another, and we can click those as well. Sweet. So this is really cool because actions here isn't actually tied to any one stored. You can click it and it'll trigger all of these actions that have the same name. That's all I really wanted to go over today. There's a lot of other cool stuff. The routing is really nice now. And being able to have actions passed in here is a lot cleaner, as well as having actions in here means you can have async actions and so on and so forth. So that's all I wanted to show you guys for today. If you want to learn more, feel free to ask me questions. You can leave a comment on the YouTube page, or if you guys have any questions or issues, you can leave a Git issue on the Tram-One project. Thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you all soon.